the world building in this game is phenomenal. It is like truly like very, very detailed. All the quests, all the characters, they all have, it feels like they all have backstories. Hello and welcome. My name is Great Aurelius 2, and today I want to talk about Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. And I finally got to finish Witcher 3. I started it about a year ago in December of 2022. I played like an hour and a half of it just to kind of see if I was kind of interested. And then I just kind of left it because I also played Red Dead Redemption 2 right after that because they were both on sale in December. And I ended up getting really into Red Dead 2, and I just kind of left Witcher 3 alone. And I finally got to The Witcher 3, and boy was it a good time. I put 60 hours into the game so far. I haven't touched the DLC yet. I usually don't like doing DLC right after finishing a game because when I finish a game, there's a sense of like, I feel done with the game. But then I take I'll buy the DLC later, and then I can play the DLC when I want to revisit the game. That way I have new content to revisit with the game with. So I won't do anything with the DLC anytime in the near future, as I'm going to move on to other games, and then sometime later I will come back to The Witcher 3 and I can play some of that DLC, because that's got to be pretty interesting. You've got 2 DLC packs with I heard one's like 10 hours long and one's like 25 hours long, which is insane. I've already put 60 hours into The Witcher 3, like I said earlier, and I can definitely feel that it is an older game. I mean, The Witcher 3 came out in 2015. That's like 9 years old now, and like I can feel it. The graphics may not make it look like it's 9 years old, but like the gameplay mechanics, I tell you, it feels like something out of about a decade ago. You can feel that. So when I say like it feels older, there's a couple different things about that. When I'm thinking about the inventory, first of all, like how cluttered it can get. There's so many items, so many crafting components. I really do not like how you just have hundreds of different crafting components for a bunch of different stuff, and you have to go and you have to find a very specific thing or whatever, or how complicated it gets. Because after a while, I really didn't engage with the weapons and armor crafting. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm getting money. I can sell off all this stuff. I'm like, why on earth would I keep this stuff? And I'd have to put in so much effort to get all the specific items, just so that I get a weapon that I'll pass up and level like super soon. Like that's a lot of effort. And I wish you could upgrade weapons. This is something so like in Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't remember if you could do this in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I specifically remember this in Origins. I remember you get like these like very special weapons, and you can, whenever you went to like a merchant, you can upgrade that weapon to your current level. So if you invested in like a set, you could upgrade. Actually, no, I think you did. This was in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So in Assassin's Creed Origins and possibly Odyssey, I don't remember right now, but you can upgrade your weapons. So if you get like special gear and special loot, you can upgrade that and you can keep it. And it was kind of weird when like you would complete a quest and then you'd get like, for instance, you have that elf that you complete his quest, and he's the master craftsman, and he gives you a special sword, but it's several levels below my sword, and to me it's just a piece of junk now. Like it's supposed to be the special sword, or when you are going and getting going to different people that you've met across the story. I guess you know them because it's Geralt already knows these people. But you go to Croc on Crate, and he gives you gives you this special sword because he can't go and help you, but he gives you a special sword, and it's like it's a weapon to help you out. It's like the greatest sword, and it's like 3 levels below what the sword I already own, or that I'm already using, and it's like, well, that's disappointing. That's not a fun thing. So not having a weapon upgrade system is just like I wish that was in the game. That's something that really needed to be in the game, and there's just way too many crafting components, way too many. I know. Let's see here, because crafting is not usually a super great thing to have. This is another thing that like Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey did a lot better with their crafting systems, was they kept it like super simple with a very few number of crafting components. I remember Horizon Zero Dawn was pretty good with its crafting. Forbidden West got egregious with that because there was like crafting components, like there's like if you have something with like super 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 rare crafting components, they have to go and you have to go locate those. At least Horizon Forbidden West had the decency of allowing you to locate those specific items. So it's like, oh, you need to go hunt down to pelicans. Okay, you mark it, and then it'll tell you on the map where you can find those pelicans. Doesn't do that with Witcher 3. So like that's just, and alchemy. I did actually engage with the alchemy. So I play on like the easiest level difficulty. Actually, I did bump it up to the I think the next one up from, I think it's because I did just story, and then that's usually what I do is usually kind of just like the story mode. And then I went to story and sword, and I kept dying a couple of times, so I'd put that back down, and it keeps story and sword are a little too difficult for me, but then just story is a little too easy. So I don't know. I'm not. Sometimes with them, I always choose the easiest difficulty because I like going through a game and not dying constantly. That's my preference. I like not dying constantly. Now, sometimes when a game feels a little too easy, I will actually bump that up a little bit. And sometimes if I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm just plowing through these a little too easily, I'll bump that up so that I get a little bit of a challenge. And if I'm still going through it pretty easily, but it's a little bit more challenging, it can be a little bit more fun. This tier with Witcher 3, it was more of it got a little too challenging at times, especially with like big monsters, where I felt like I was just dodging and rolling. But then like at the story difficulty, I felt like I could defeat the giant monsters too easily. And at the story and sword, I felt like I was being destroyed. And it was like, what? I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I did use, even on story mode, I did lean into the alchemy a little bit. I used potions. I've used, speaking of potions, I really don't like the way they do health stuff, where it's gradually over time. Now, this might just be what I'm used to, because I'm used to like stim packs or whatever, where you stick yourself with something and it immediately ups your health.
Can I get a stim, BD1? Nice, buddy.
So you wait till you get kind of low, and then you stick yourself with something, and then it gets your health all the way up. But in Witcher 3, it's like, nah, you got to, like, if you're going to go into a big fight, you should probably eat something first, because if you take big hits early on, then it'll be regenerating you as you do that. And you got to just be like constantly eating and drinking, because I think you can eat and drink, and it'll boost that together. So as for that kind of stuff, it's not the greatest. This is not really what I like in this. I don't really like these mechanics particularly. The combat I found to be pretty decent. I think I didn't mind it at all. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I mean, it's not like I didn't find it to be the best combat. I did find it decently easy to get into. So the combat wasn't like too difficult, and I did find myself using the signs a lot. Actually, I think I know a lot. I've heard people say that they use the Quen sign a lot. That's just the thing that they do. I actually was using the Igni sign most of the time, and then I ended up trying to switch it up closer to the end, and I trying to use like Axie and Ard to try to do a little bit of gameplay changes. I didn't find the signs to be too difficult to remember and understand, and I do like, like a simplistic, X or square to do a short attack and triangle for a long attack. I know, like for the controls, them having circle to using circle or A if you're on Xbox. I'm using PlayStation here, so using circle instead of X to climb things, that has really thrown me off, because I was playing like Witcher 3, and then my friends would get on, and I'd switch over to Call of Duty, and I'm hitting circle to try to jump, and I'm like, why am I not jumping? And I'm like, oh yeah, because things are switched, and yeah. So I really don't like it when a game like uses a different, like X is the jump button, or sorry, X or A is the jump button, not circle or B. Like it's that bottom button. That's the one that you use for jumping. And Nintendo, they like to do something really different. I think they use like the X button, which is the top button on the Nintendo controllers, which is like, why do they do it like that? Like it's egregious the way that Nintendo does stuff. It's been a while since I've owned a Nintendo console. Like my last Nintendo console was a Wii U, but like going back to like Nintendo, and like the controls are all messed up for me. I also do want to touch on the quests in the game as well. Now here's something I think this is where The Witcher 3 really, really shines, is in the quests, in all the people that you talk to, because all of the quests and whenever you talk to people, it all has an extra level of depth to it. Like you believe, like when you talk to some random old lady who has a quest for you, who wants you to find her husband, she's got a whole explanation on why like her husband's missing. And then of course I think The Witcher like lends itself so well to video games, because you're a monster hunter for hire, so anybody can hire you. So that kind of lends itself well to the whole side quest thing. So that I thought it's just something that I thought was just kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, this actually works really well. Kind of like it's a whole mercenary thing, right? And that's what like The Witcher is. And I was thinking that this works really well with it. And so like you'll have like just like a random old lady whose husband is missing in the woods, and so you go and the whole way the entire thing plays out, you believe that this woman actually, like, she has a whole life. She had a whole life before, and she'll have a life afterwards. And that is just really, and this is just for a random side quest. I know people have talked about, and this is like, there's a particular quest towards the beginning of the game when you're in the first area that you can choose how to play that out. I don't remember how I played that out, but I've heard people talk about like you'll you can run into a guy later on who tells you about like, oh, thank you for saving my fiance or my girlfriend or wife or whatever it was, and he gives you something, and it's like, whoa, like things happen. It's like the world building in this game is phenomenal. It is like truly like very, very detailed. All the quests, all the characters, they all have, it feels like they all have backstories. And if you've watched my video on Thor, that I did recently, I was saying that Thor is like, it does not have very good world building because like Asgard doesn't feel like it's anything more than what you see in the movie, and you don't feel like Thor or Asgard exists outside of the movies because it doesn't feel like a real world. And I think you can do so much, even if you only have an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell your story. I think it is 100% possible to do a really get it to feel like these are real worlds. And Thor just didn't cut that. In The Witcher 3, like every single little quest does this well. Does it convincingly. And then, I was also, like, there are a lot of different choices. Now, I'll be honest, I have only done one playthrough of The Witcher 3. I'm not the type of guy to go through and do multiple playthroughs. Sometimes I've done that, sometimes I don't, but I don't typically do that. So I haven't gone through and looked at like all the different choices, all the different endings. I don't know any of those things. I think there were a couple of times I might have noticed where my specific choice, but there's other times where I wasn't sure if there was a choice I could make. I can't really speak too well about all the alternate choices. I believe other people have done this before, but I've only had one playthrough, and I can't really speak too much about this. But it also goes into like the story. I'm gonna keep this pretty light, but you start off, you're hunting for Yennefer, and then you end up hunting for Ciri, and like that's a good chunk of the game. And I think you get a lot of really good stuff in there. Like the basic plot of it, of like, oh, you're searching for Ciri. That's what you're doing. But it's like there's a lot more in there. There's a lot more complexities in there. When you meet a lot of different characters. I haven't played Witchers 1 or 2. I haven't tried those at all, so I don't know who was or wasn't in Witchers 1 and 2. But you'll have some characters from books in the games that you get introduced to. It's cool, and especially I think one of the stories that a lot of people talk about is the Bloody Baron, his story. And I'm not going to go into any of that right now, or at all, because I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as I possibly can. But there's the whole quest with the Bloody Baron, and that's one thing that a lot of people touch on and say like as one of the best quests. And I'm like, yeah, that goes it starts in one spot, like, oh, you're trying to find his missing wife and daughter, and then it goes way over here, like just way over. It's crazy, it's insane. And so the details that they go with a lot of these quests, and the story is very detailed. It's very good, and I mean I can also attest to it because it's got me really interested in the Witcher universe, and I've been listening to some of the Witcher audiobooks. The first 2 technically in the series, chronologically, are a collection of short stories, and then I believe there's like another 6 books that are that start on the actual saga. But this isn't a review of the books, but it's gotten me into the Witcher universe, and I even got myself a Witcher medallion sort of thing. So it's like I've been getting into the Witcher universe, and this game has definitely sparked that interest. Also, with the open world was pretty good. I did find myself wanting to explore a lot at first, at least in the beginning, and I did find myself stumbling across quests and having these little distractions. Every time I would like find a quest, I would stop and go and do that quest. Like just stop the one I was on and just go and complete the side quest here that I came across. And I enjoyed doing that. And that's one of the reasons why it took me 60 hours to complete the game. is because I would go through and I'd go do all this. Like I'd spend, a little bit of time doing the story, and then I'd go do a bunch of side quests, and then I'd go back and I'd do a bunch of story quests, and then I'd take a break and do a bunch of side quests, and I kept doing things like that, and I had a lot of fun with the side quests. Did most of the ones that I came across. I didn't play Gwent at all. I'm just not a fan of games inside a video game, so I didn't touch Gwent at all. I skipped all the side quests related to Gwent, and with the open world, like obviously you've got to talk about the navigation. This is one of the ones where it just really feels outdated. You've got a mini map in the corner, and I like the design where you have like the point of interest is like an indicator on screen instead of having like that mini map, and then you could just head straight in that direction. Although granted, it does work a lot better with titles that you can just head straight there, which I guess you could technically do. Because there wasn't really much need for climbing. I guess Skellige was really kind of the place where you really needed to go a specific route because you had the mountains and you can't just climb over the mountains. So I ended up, I didn't like using the path, but I like using like the indicator instead, or having like a compass on the top might be a little bit better. I did find myself looking up at the map a lot when running around the open world. And also, like when you have a marker, I really wish that when you place that marker, it would take the path to that instead of because like Novigrad is a good place where like you do need like those paths because you can't just straight shot it. If you're playing Assassin's Creed and you're in the middle of a city and you're looking, okay, I need to go over that way, you can I just climb over the buildings. I look like somebody ridiculous in Assassin's Creed because I just climb over everything. I'm not gonna go around. I'm just gonna climb over it. It's like I look like a lunatic in Assassin's Creed when I do that, but like that's just kind of the way I play. And like in Novigrad, you kind of do have to go like because you can't just straight shot things. You got to go around in certain paths and whatnot. Overall, I really enjoyed this game. I don't think it's my top. My top so far is Cyberpunk 2077. Currently, that is my top favorite game of all time right now. And it took me many hours and probably a while after I finished playing it to consider it to be one of my favorite game. And although granted, also the cyberpunk aesthetic, I just love that. So I don't know The Witcher 3 is going to top it. It's definitely on the top. It's definitely in the top, probably maybe top 5 games I've played. I don't know what my top favorite games are. I have to go through and look at. But it's definitely up there. Out of like games that I've spent the most time in, it is definitely up there. 60 hours. I don't have many games that I have put 60 hours into. So I've definitely had a lot of fun with this. I'm definitely going to go ahead and get that DLC at some point, and I definitely want to play it. But I'm just going to give myself some time. With Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's one of my favorites, and I played through the game. I didn't get the DLC. Then I came back like months later, and I bought the DLC, and I played through one of the DLC packs. And I haven't finished the DLC because I'm like at some point I might want to go back to Odyssey and play through more DLC. So I usually get the feeling of being burned out on a game if I play the DLC right after playing the main story. So I'll usually take a break, and that is just it's the way I do things. It's the way I like to do things. I like to kind of spread things out, especially when with for instance Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been thinking, I'm like, man, I kind of want to get back into that game again, but there's no DLC for it, which would mean I'd have to start playing the game over again, or I'd have to go through and do some side quests. Which after a game's finished, I like to do some side quests, but I am no completionist, and I just get bored with trying to be a completionist. So that's just not the the way I play games. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I do movie reviews. I talk about, I have a series I have with my friend Marcus where we talk about some movies, and I'm also going through the MCU. And if you guys want to see any of those or other video game reviews where I go through where I play older games and see how they stack up to what people are telling me, then go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.